Is everyone ready?
Were you listening before? My God.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in disarray.
Welcome to the TILF Pod.
Welcome to the TILF Pod.
Welcome to the TILF Pod.
What does TILF mean?
That sounds vaguely dirty.
What does TILF stand for?
Thought I'd like to finish.
Everybody.
What is happening?
Everyone chill, okay?
What great entertainment.
I didn't expect that.
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
TILF!
So, we ready?
Today we are going to be
Not a great start,
Good.
once again.
Today we are going to be talking about a topic that seems just way too obvious for ADHDers to talk about, but I think that there's just so much more nuance under the word, and that word is
Productivity.
yay.
Oh, I hated that. I hated that so
Glad.
much. I hated that so much. I
You
did.
hate things.
With productivity, I think pretty much every one of our clients that come to us always comes with some version of the exact same story, which is how do I do more? How do I do more faster? I'm not doing enough. I feel frustrated at myself. And so productivity is just such a loaded.
One more time. Sorry, you're doing so good. I realized that I was far away and I tried to scooch up and then I fucked up.
So with productivity, I want to ask a potentially loaded question, which is, what do you think of when you think of the word productivity?
I have an evolving opinion of productivity where when I started out caring about productivity, I really believe that it was like doing the most that you can possibly do in the shortest amount of time. And then I realized that productivity is actually one of the most ADHD friendly concepts that there is, because effective productivity is laziness. And what I mean by that, not that I'm saying people with ADHD are lazy, because we'd hate that. But what I mean is productivity it has a formula. And that formula, as far as I see it, is that it's being efficient and effective. So getting the most done with the least possible input, right? So literally finding the laziest way to do something, but still getting the best possible result from that, right? So it's actually, I think a point of confusion with productivity that happens a lot is that people are trying to do more when actually the goal at its core, for me at least, is doing less, right?
Efficiency.
Well, efficiency, but it still has to be effective.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you imagine there's efficiency down one side of a chart and then effectiveness
Can you
along
be
the bottom,
efficient
and then
without
one-
being effective?
Yeah.
But
You can do a lot of things that aren't really that useful. And not
Oh, I see what you're
just
saying.
doing it
like be
so
efficient
fast.
with a thing that isn't important.
yeah, effective is the outcome.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
So the fastest way to achieve the best result. Does that make sense?
80-20.
result is
It's
like the most
Pareto
important part.
principling.
Yeah. Well, and it really is though, which you can compound
Can
to
you tell
64-4.
Can you tell listeners what the Pareto principle is?
The 80-20?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically it is the idea that 20% of your actions make up 80% of your outcomes,
Yeah.
right? And it applies, there's I read about it so long ago, but there's a whole bunch of data around this applying across
Everything.
multiple factors.
Every
It's
productivity book.
crazy. It's so crazy. But when you compound it and then it becomes 64-4, that actually just feeds in perfectly to what I was talking about with productivity. Because if you think that then means that 4% of what you do is responsible for 64% of your results. Like that's 4%. So if you can find that best 4% to get that best out of 64, effective and efficient, the dream.
Yeah, I think for me, productivity, and kind of like what you touched on, I feel like the most important part that a lot of people miss is that the purpose of it is the outcome, not the input. And I think a lot of the times people just want to do more and more and more and faster and faster. And I was definitely stuck in that trap before. I remember one of my first bosses, there's this aha moment. I was a couple of years out of undergrad, and she sat me down and she was like, this is back when I used to go by Crystal. She was like, Crystal, you do know that your worth is not defined by the amount of output that you created, right? And I was like, what? Of course it is. I have to do more analysis faster. And I just didn't, it took me a while to understand it. And I think it's really tough, especially when you feel so much shame around executive functioning and being able to just show up and do the thing the way that you are expected to do it, especially from neurotypical people around you. And I think the reframe for me was really about thinking about setting an outcome that I actually care about. So if you want to achieve something by the end of the week, it's not like, okay, how much can I finish out of my to-do list? It's like, what at the end of the week will actually make you happy and will make you, and at the end of your life, like if you want to extend it even longer, but like, what are you really optimizing for? And then to your point, it's like, what is the least amount that you can do or the most efficient route that you can take to actually be able to get there? And so I think that for me, productivity really starts from defining that end goal, which I think so many of us don't really define, and really defining it for you, like not for your boss or like from what is expected for you, but like what you actually want out of your life.
So what's your end goal?
I think for me, it's more of like a value-based direction. So I know that for me, success is that I'm living every day with impact, with value, with impact, with adventure. And so for me, when I am living outside of those values, and that's when I know that I'm spinning and I'm like doing a lot of things that aren't important and that are maybe the old way of productivity and not the new way.
So you directly connect productivity and success though.
What do you mean?
So you just said like success for me is, and then these things. And I was like, but
Like for me to live a successful, happy life.
yeah. So but what I'm saying is it's interesting that like that's the route that you went down when with like the productive outcome. Like how do they connect?
How does productivity and success connect?
Yeah, like because you said right, like defining productivity is defining it on like a lifelong outcome.
Yes. Like what does success look like for your life?
Success though.
Yes, success.
But not productivity.
Yes, exactly.
Really?
I hear it. For what it's worth, I am hearing it.
These are two different concepts, right?
So your worth is not valued in productivity, right? Like that's the difficult lesson to learn and to actually internalize, because for so much of life, especially when we're in school, eventually we'll maybe get to my definition, but I'm like, I didn't mean that in like a way. I mean, I'm starting out not with that. I'm going to talk to this.
We got it.
I just
It's okay.
Okay, no, you're correcting it.
I think that like it's so difficult to separate our worth from our productivity, because from a very young age, it's like, did you finish your homework? Did you get your work done? Did you get your this? And if you did not get these desired outcomes, you are in trouble. You will get written up. You will get bad grades. You will get whatever. If you are not meeting expectations. So like I have a whole soapbox about productivity and its an integration with capitalism and like how it's like twisted and warped a lot of stuff.
The Industrial Revolution.
And yes, okay, we'll just have a whole episode Industrial Revolution.
Let's not go back there.
I just mean that like it's difficult because so much of the time we're told that our value lies in what we can do for others.
Yeah.
Right. And what we can do to either impress others, to make others' lives easier, to help make other people money, to do like the things that we need to do in order to, it feels like be a functioning member of like modern society. And I think a lot about like what being productive means like outside of capitalism, because like literally the word productive has the word product in it, right? Like there's a product, there's something, there is
To produce
a thing.
something,
It's producing
not
something.
necessarily product,
Or like a product is something that is produced, right? Like a
Fight.
You can produce value.
Yeah,
Like for mine, I'm producing value, and value defined by me.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but you told your. I still want
your success. So I'm tying it around.
I
to
want to
like
know the difference.
Success, but success for some people, I guess maybe you can have productive relationship maintenance or something that like isn't directly tied to let me rephrase it. I didn't used to think about productivity in means of like texting my loved ones back, or like I just had a really important FaceTime call with my brother, and he didn't used to like phone calls, so we never FaceTimed, and it was really awesome to connect with him again. And that was like productive, right? Because it like lent itself to my core of like wanting to strengthen relationships. Like it aimed towards a goal, but that goal wasn't just like work or school or this or how to get more stuff done. You know,
I think that's still productivity.
no, it is. And so that's what I mean.
But your point was different. What was your?
My point was, I wanted to know the connect for you between when you were saying like the system, the framework, the system, whatever that you use with productivity is to define like the outcome of that productivity.
Yes.
And then, but when you were then saying it and you were like, success to me is this.
Yeah.
Like, what's the connect between, like, I think that's maybe what Danny's getting at as well, but like, you didn't say productivity is this, you said success is this.
Yeah, so productivity is a means to get to somewhere, right? Like it's not.
Yeah, but and then that place that you're getting to is the success.
Yes,
and the
however you
success for
define
you
that.
is like defined by your values.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
cool.
So like success in my relationship. I was
So
gonna
it's
be like,
how, Sophie, sorry.
it's okay. Do you have a tilt?
You're not saying sorry, remember?
Yeah, no, I do have a TILF, and I definitely am I'm retracting my apology. God, every time that we have the break, I lose the thought though. So for you, being productive is value alignment.
For me, no, success is value alignment and productive is how I get to that.
Okay, cool. Okay.
That's the how.
That's what I wanted to
It just
understand.
clicked, yeah.
Yeah. No, I got it. I think it's interesting. I just wanted to talk more about it.
Well, I never really like truly thought about the thing, like the me, FaceTiming with my brother, like feel like technically like is productive. I've got stuff like in the anti-planner that talks about like texting people back, right? And why it's challenging, especially for ADHD. And that is like maintenance still. And like I suck at anything maintenance related, like relationships maintenance, friendship maintenance, like, is it hygiene maintenance, car maintenance, like any type of like recurring thing that doesn't end. And so I think that it's difficult because to me, I'd love to hear your guys' insights on like, say different types of productivity, about like, oh my God, my brain just realized that I didn't say my definition. I was like, should I say that first? I was like, we're gone.
I think it's getting late, guys.
No,
This is good. This is good.
The different types of productivity, right? In that there's like maintenance, which is like ongoing, never done laundry bullshit. Like, and that's what's really hard because a project-based thing, it's like you can do it and get it done and check it off and it's done.
And it's
I don't have to do
tangible.
it.
Yeah.
And like laundry is never finished. Chores are never finished. And so like there's productivity, and I really struggle with maintenance stuff. And I think a lot of people with ADHD do too.
Yeah.
So like one of the things that is difficult with ADHD is this like we are nothing if not a bunch of contradictions in a trench coat.
Yeah.
Right? Where like sometimes we are unstoppable machines and we are like the most like especially in a crisis or there's a novel problem to solve or we're really interested in like hyperfixated on something. And it's like I am the most productive machine. I'm the best employee. I'm the rock star. I am everything. And then the next day it's like I can't get myself to answer an email. And so it's that inconsistency that really breaks me. And I think really breaks a lot of people is feeling like you're supposed to be able to be that level of like your highest productive, like the goal is to somehow be that person every day, show up at that person. And that feels like 100%. And that's like really a trap. And you're going to spend your life disappointed if that's what
I
you're
think
aiming
that's
for.
such an important point because our 100% is actually like 300% of a neurotypical.
Yes.
We can't get to 300% every single day. And I feel like that reframe is also so important that like productivity is not consistency, but maybe productivity is consistency. Those are not the same things. And so if we spend a whole week on like 300% and we spend like 3 weeks on like 0%, like that is the same amount as if a neurotypical person was like at 100% the entire time.
Yeah.
We don't think about it like that. And also the way that the systems are structured, especially if you have a boss and if you have a corporation and all that stuff, like it's really difficult to exist in that world with expectations that don't look like how our natural flow of productivity works.
And I will say, like, in the entrepreneur space, when you get to make your own deadlines, and you get to make your own meetings, and you cancel something if you need to, and like you have a lot more flexibility.
Say that big C word to me again.
Cancel. I am not showing up for
meeting
this
today.
But like that ability can also make it really, challenging. But what I'm trying to learn now, the hardest lesson I've learned in business is like, I show up and I'll have 40-hour week, 40-hour week, 50-hour week, 60 hours. Like I'll be working really like a lot more hours, and then I'll give myself like a week off, and then I'll like come back and not be rested because I gave myself like a time frame instead of like a feelings break. So I have been taking like a 3-month like not complete like take time away from work, but they're like very, very, very huge reduction in hours, like under 5 hours a week. And like only certain, conversations and stuff like that, because I had burned out and I didn't realize that like it even was burnout anymore. Do you guys kind of get to that point where you're like, you've been living in that reality for so long that you can't remember not feeling that way?
Yeah, I mean, with your anti-planner, for example, you literally sprinted for like over a year, you know, like that is
you work in cycles for
that
sure.
requires rest. And I think that another point that I think,
And then I was like, I'm such a fraud. I'm like throwing up and like, I'm like throwing up from anxiety. And then I'm like, burnout is, you can't run, you know, blah, blah, blah on an empty tank. I'm like, I'm such a fraud. I'm such a hypocrite, you know?
yeah, I think a really important point that also took a long time to learn is that self-care and rest is literally part of productivity. Like it is an essential part of productivity. And it doesn't feel productive for us because we haven't internalized the fact that it is a very important part of productivity.
Well, and also we just like active rest as well. Like, because that's another problem for us as well. Like rest is fundamentally understimulating.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Well, the thing that's
But you
wild.
can do like different types of rest.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. But I think that even the understanding of what rest means,
exactly.
like we have to redefine through the lens of each of our unique experiences of ADHD.
Yeah, no,
like,
totally.
I have to do active rest. I like the
What does rest look like for you?
Like-
Active rest.
it's time away from anything that requires demand from me. So it's like I guess like filling cups really. So like I love going to the beach. So like going to the beach or like anything that involves going outside really, or like hanging out with people that I have like really stimulating but also non-work based conversation with, like anything like that and honestly like rest for me is direct stimulation, but it is stimulation that doesn't require an outcome, and I think that is like the difference.
I was going to say that something I read recently was about Lin-Manuel Miranda like went on a trip to like work on his on a musical, right? And he found himself reading this book about Alexander Hamilton and like was getting a bit like, did I say distressed, because he was there to work. He was there to work on his musical and not read this book, but he couldn't put this book down. And like, then that book that didn't feel productive because it wasn't what he planned on doing, ended up becoming Hamilton, right? And so, and that was the muse, that was the thing, like, and he let himself kind of like fall into that rest. And so for me, when I was burning out, I was like working on, there's a new anti-planner playing cards deck coming out. I did an Airbnb sprint, did all of the art, had all the stuff, and found myself doing fan art of like Hell of a Boss, which I had never done before. It was really, really fun. And I like found myself wanting to work on that more than work. And I like hadn't found a single thing for years that I wanted to do more than work. And it was distressing because I hadn't quite finished it. I had 2 jokers left and I was like, I have 2 days left. And I couldn't pull myself away. And I was getting really emotional. Like I was crying. I'm like, why can't I work? And it's because my brain was like, you found a thing to do active rest. Like you're still getting to do the skills that you love that technically you do use for work, but like you're drawing on your iPad not to make money. You're doing it for fun to refill you. And so if I wouldn't have done that, if I wouldn't have taken that step away, if I would have continued to like push myself through that burnout and just say like, suck it up, granted, I'm in a very, very like, I worked real hard and like my team is awesome. And it is very privileged that I was able to like take that step back. But in that moment, if I wouldn't have done that, I would not have been in the position where I have the time to just randomly make a podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Like the space that is allowed to you when you take that rest for yourself, you don't know where it's going to land.
Well, the podcast is that for me in a way.
Yeah.
Which is like interesting, like because like I'm getting a sick amount of joy out of this.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So it's like I'm literally like, this is so fucking good. I'm having so much fun. Because it is stimulating. Yeah, we are talking about work, so I'm being a bit of a hypocrite, but it's great, so whatever. Just sometimes things align. But like that's taken me away from a period in my business that is quite stressful right now. That I think if I hadn't, and I guess only the future will tell, but if I hadn't like sidetracked into doing this right now, like that would have probably just sent me over the edge. Like it's kind of like you're making peace with allowing yourself that time to do that, which is annoying. That's something that we have to do. And that might not be the case for everyone. I'm pretty sure it's probably the case for the 3 of us though, to literally just be like this is working for me as a distraction, but a distraction that I am okay with. Because like I think it's a product when you have like huge goals. We all have huge goals, right? In like one way or another. And we also have that magical combination of huge goals and like a sprinkle of impatience. So we're like, my goal right now, give that to me.
This other goal, don't look over here. Don't look behind this curtain of all my unfinished goals.
There's a thing in the way of my goal. And I'm like, I do want that though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and then we're like, we have to find, it's interesting. It's almost like there's a bridge between it all and it all sort of interconnects in that way, because I think it is more about like making peace with rest rather than the rest itself.
Because it really, like, there's such a like guilt, right? Where it's like, okay, I deserve some rest. Like, I've been so burnt out. And then you're like, you know, trying to rest and then feeling this overwhelming guilt, but it is uncomfortable. And I think that people who are used to that level of stimulation, right? It feels like if you're on social media all day and you're on your TV all day and you're, you know, on screens all day on your laptop, and then you shut everything off and like go outside and touch some grass, right? And it like touching grass is like but if there's a long period of time, if you were like, go sit in the backyard for 3 hours, that would be really uncomfortable for a lot of people who are like used to that constant stimulation.
Not just sit in the backyard and just sit still.
But the things that will come to your mind when you give yourself the space without some sort of stimulation or something to consume or something to do is when that's why people have great thoughts in the shower.
Well, yeah, I have great yoga thoughts. I go to class and they tell us to like not think about anything. I think about so much stuff. And a yoga rebel.
Oh my pop!
You gotta tell me what to do.
Don't have amazing ideas.
It's funny you say that though, because like, you know, like the brain networks that are right responsible for that, and like, I'm pretty tired, so if I get this wrong, someone correct me. But I know it's like the DMN, which is like the default mode. Yeah. And like the switch in ADHD is broken between that one and the task positive network, right? And especially as like what we do as like entrepreneurs in our businesses, like we spend a lot of time in that like task positive network. And like we have to have ways to like activate and like manage to like get that switch over.
That was so satisfying.
Excellent.
That was real good.
But we do, like, we have to have a look at, I want to do, okay. So, but like we have to be able to like do that so that we can have those big ideas, because half of the strength in having ADHD as an entrepreneur is having ideas. And if we don't actively make time to have those ideas and switch those networks over so that we're in that environment, then being in the task positive networks, like honestly, just a fucking waste of time.
So I can imagine a lot of people listening to this who don't have as much control or freedom as you. And I'm curious if you have thoughts about it.
It's really another challenge, right, to being productive. And so this is why like I developed the anti-planner, because there's so many different reasons to be like that we procrastinate, or so many different reasons why we might struggle to be productive or productive consistently. And they all are different and therefore require different types of solutions. And so I always I have this thing in one of my talks where I talk about, right, like planners being a hammer, and like those are great, but they serve one specific purpose. But if you zoom in and like, I would say the way that I kind of describe it is like there's 3 circles, like 3 gray circles. I say, get the first one in and you get a hammer, you hit it and it goes in, hit the next 2 and they don't go in. And it's not until you zoom in and see that there's like a plus sign on one and like a little, minus sign on the other. And it's like, oh, these aren't the same problem. These have different kinds of resistance. These are both screws. And even these 2 screws that have similar looking resistance have different ways that you take care of them, which require different but similar tools. And so like when you are in a position where you're not like, we struggle to get stuff done and it's like stuff that we want to do and we're excited to, and it's often like our idea, but when it's someone else's idea or something you're not interested in or something you actively hate with like the burning white hot intensity of 1,000 suns, right? Like you are out here like I resent having to do it, or it's boring and repetitive. And like we have to come up with stimulating way, like to get that stimulation to make it more fun. So, the ones that a lot of people do, whether they realize it or not, is the listening to podcasts or doing, watching TV while you're folding laundry or whatever, like whether or not they realize it, you're baking in your like productivity with entertainment so that you can still get things done while being, I would say, entertained. And so the anti-planner was like a bunch of different strategies to overcome those emotional hurdles. But one of the things that people don't really talk about is the fact that by trying to put people in one box, there's a lot of people, especially with ADHD, who have thought that it's their fault. Right? When in fact, it's like you haven't been given the right tools. And people have just been telling you that like try harder will like somehow fix everything.
Yeah. It's quite cruel, really, when you think about it, isn't it? Just like, you're doing it wrong, but we are not going to give you any of the clues.
And so then you spend time, again, you can get a screw into the wall with a hammer. It will suck. You can do it. It requires so much more first.
In actual life.
And so, but that's what I'm trying to say though, is that like ADHD, it's like we feel like we're given a bunch of tools that don't do what we need and we have to brute force it. And it requires so much more effort and stamina. And other people look and they're like, what? Like it's hard? You know, and it's like, you're not having the same experience I'm having, man.
I always wonder, like, like Freaky Friday?
Yeah.
Like, just give me one day in a neurotypical brain. I gotta know. I just want to know. I just literally want to be there for like 24 hours. That's all I need to be like, oh, okay, like this is how this works for you.
The like taste of that though, when I have gone a while, like without, you know, without taking meds, and then I take my meds again, and I'm like, right. It's not supposed to be this hard. Like you don't even realize necessarily, recognize that we're playing productivity on hard mode.
The whole world is designed to work for neurotypical brains.
Yeah.
So
we don't get any credit for having to work hard because it doesn't look like we're working harder.
And it's wild to me that like most people, until they're literally in their adulthood, do they start to discover that there's a different way to do things.
Yes.
Like there's systems that are for ADHD. There's tools that are for ADHD. Like you can be around ADHDers and work in companies that are like structured for ADHDers.
It does make me so angry though that is something that we all have to figure out for ourselves.
Yes.
Like one of the things that really pisses me off about going on the rage.
Do it.
Let it go. Like one of the things. Like, you're ruining the rage with Frozen in the background. Let it go. Rage Disney. What? God. Yeah, but one of the things that like annoys me the most about the ADHD diagnosis criteria, apart from a litany of other things, is that they're like, do I have ADHD? Yes. And they're like, okay, what should I do? They're like, don't know. You should probably go and figure it out.
Sounds like a you problem.
Like, yeah, literally. And then you literally have to spend like a year to 2 years in some cases being like finding out that like ADHD coaching even exists, right? Searching out products, searching out the right type of shit that will work for how your unique type of ADHD works. And nothing is like labeled for that. Right? There's not like even a one size fits all. You then have to find all of the different systems to like put together, and you have to do it all by yourself, right? There's at least a period of 3 months to a year where you get diagnosed, and then you're also in a period of grief. So you're like obviously going through that grief of like what could have been, who I could have been, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, no one's like, here's a toolkit. Everyone's just like, figure it out.
And there set us up we even exist a toolkit. Like
exactly.
There's like so many toolkits. No, I mean, there's not like one where it's like, oh, this exact thing is gonna work for you. You know, it's such a such a process to be able to find it, to be able to figure out like what even are your challenges, like what are your goals, like what systems are going to work for you. Experiment, it doesn't work, and then like maybe it does work, and then like 3 months later you're like it doesn't work again. And so this entire process, I mean, I think there's many ways to get there, but obviously for me, I think everyone who's diagnosed should like get an ADHD coach right away, because you just shortcut so much time of like going through this entire process by yourself, and you don't even know what questions to ask.
I will say that like one of the things that like ADHD coaching really did help me with was that realizing that procrastination was like always caused by something.
Yeah.
And that even if you see someone else, and not just for forgiving yourself, if someone else is procrastinating, they are also dealing with something. And it feels different when it's pissing us off, right? When it's me, it's like, I'm having such a hard time with this, and I can identify what it is and be like, what is making me procrastinate? Okay, I can find a tool to maybe help with that. And so that's, again, what the whole anti-planner kind of was. But it's easy to like even like pass judgment when we get frustrated, right? Like people get frustrated with us, and it's like, and then someone else, you know, might not be doing what we need, especially if it's like, if someone else is being a barrier or becoming a barrier to our own executive function, right? So like if it took me so long to call and make an appointment, and I called and made the appointment, and I was so proud of myself because it took so long, and I showed up to my appointment, and the practitioner didn't show up.
Oh,
and now
devastating.
I have to do it again.
Yeah.
And it is harder. And people who don't understand, like sometimes I don't do it. Like I have had health things that I don't take care of because an extra step was put in front of me because of somebody else's,
I had a conversation with, I thought I was afraid of death for so long, right? No. This will make sense in a second.
is this?
I'm not understanding where it's going.
Look, just trust the process. I was afraid of death for so long, and I spoke to my therapist about it, and it turns out I'm actually not afraid of death. I'm afraid that I will die, and it will be my own fault. And that all directly connects to my ADHD. Wow. Yeah, for real. So I literally am just like, because I'm like, not really, like, dying makes perfect sense to me. It's circle of life, but I was like, something is really bothering me about that. And I am genuinely have a fear that I will spend the like last 1 to 2 months on this planet just in a shame spiral of just like, probably could have prevented this. Like, it's that terrifies me. Like, I've had full-blown therapy sessions about that. And that's all because of ADHD. Like, that's crazy.
Wait, how did you, like, what led you to come to this realization?
Well, I do quite a lot of self-reflection. But...
Like, was there, like, a click moment, or is this, like, a slow...
Yeah, well, I just, like, I already couldn't make the connect because I was, like, worried about death for a bit there. Not because I, like, whatever. I think it was maybe just getting a bit older and, like, having never been to the gym.
Did you see the study about
No, I
how
didn't.
people with
No, for real,
ADHD
that's
have
not
like
true.
lowered life expectancy? Because I had a whole...
I did. What did you just ask? Great study. What did you just ask?
Oh, I just asked if that was what triggered this whole, like, topic.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure what triggered it, but I do think it's interesting that like I literally was like, oh yeah, I don't want to die. But when I dug deep, like everyone doesn't want to die though, right? But like when I like dug deep down into it, I was like, oh, like I am, like honestly, just like because imagine if I like let's say Danny's example. Imagine if I just booked a doctor's appointment, right? And then, sorry, this is getting really dark. Sorry, everyone listening. Sorry, I'm talking about death. My
Productivity and death.
Yeah, productivity and death. But anyway, we're in it now, so let's just continue. So, like, say, and then, say I get diagnosed with something like terminal, like a month later, that could have been stopped if I just made that fucking phone call. And then I know myself well enough to know I'd just sit there being like, this is your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, have I just given that to you now? No one else should.
I think about that stuff. That's the odd thing is I think about that stuff all the time because it's like, we were talking about the maintenance, body maintenance, dude, and like getting myself to work out and then like, or getting into a habit routine, like consistently and feeling so excited, and you see compounding effects, right? Because it's like those habits are compound interest. And then something happens and either suddenly like you get out of that routine and you stop or, you slowly start to peter and then, you kind of lose it. And I stopped going. And it's that consistency, like we're talking about with productivity, is so difficult. But like over time, that compounds too, right? Mm-hmm. And so like feeling like I know what I need to be doing, but I can't get myself to do it in regards to like eating healthy consistently or like not just eating healthy, but like eating foods that nourish me instead of foods that in the short term make me feel like happy and comfortable because they're like, make my caveman brain be like, sugar and fat. And, those things are great. But like, I am choosing my short-term comfort over like long-term health benefits, I think. And there's a real guilt that I carry around because I feel like I know like every single thing ever is pretty much like, if you take care of your health, you'll live longer. And I'm like, well, how important is it really? Because I really want to eat, like, and I fall into this habit. So like, it's slightly different, but like, hopefully you see where I'm getting.
Yeah, because I don't have if I don't have short-term consequences, I can't like, that's what I mean. That's why I'm like, I'm going to live one big consequence for the last 2 months of my life. And I'm just going to be like, yep, I deserve this.
Is there a but now at the end of that? Or you're like, nah, is that still how you feel?
I kind of just made my peace with it.
Yeah.
Like, I just like.
Enjoy it while we're here.
Yeah, it's just not that deep anymore. Like now I have like
death and productivity. It's just not that deep, bro.
That's not that deep, man. It's fine. No, it's just like I think understanding that side of it as well, and then kind of doing the work around like because that's just shame. Like that is literally shame, and I think that shame is much bigger than the last 2 months of my life. I'm sure it filters in all over the place. Like I'm probably just like. I know that now, but I also spoke to the people about it, actually, that it would affect. So I spoke to my mum about it. And I was like, Mum, I'm really worried that one day I'm going to die and it's going to be my fault. And then I was like, and I'm really worried that you'll still be alive. And then you'll have to watch me die.
Oh my God. I think the same thing.
I feel like people look at me and be like, well, I can see how this happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's my nightmare. I would hate that.
Well, we are so prone
That's probably her
to.
biggest nightmare, I feel like, as a parent.
Yeah, exactly. So that like fed into her. So I just chatted to her about it. To be fair, it's just a real good lesson in communication. I was like, I deeply fear this, and she was like, obviously that's ridiculous. I'm not gonna be mad at you if you're dying. So I was like, yeah, I can see how that would make sense actually.
My mom would definitely be mad at me.
If you, well, you should ask her. It really helped to get that.
Today
I'm so sorry to anyone who has to parent us.
Today we have learned about challenging assumptions.
Yeah, exactly. But that even feeds into productivity too. Like, I have been in periods where I've been pushing. I know several times that I've pushed myself way further than I should have done. Should have taken rest periods beforehand, all of that stuff. And I know like fully well that then I'll be in burnout, and it'll be that exact shame as like my death shame, where I'll just be like, this is my fault. I knew this was going to happen. I didn't do the things to stop having it. So that guilt around productivity is so complex to navigate.
So I think that taps perfectly into not just TIFF, but the concept in general, the consequences of our avoidance, right? That there are very real, like there are deadlines that we missed, you know, or an email that we didn't see. And like there are real consequences and repercussions, and that the shame spiral from this was my fault, I could have prevented this, I am my own worst enemy, I am the cause of my own problems, like, and it's my, you know, like when you feel like you are the cause of all of your problems, and then you just have to walk around like that every day and do the same stuff as everybody else.
And then you die.
And then you die. Well, that's just death in Texas, baby.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help. I'm really in the death chat, I promise.
We should probably put some sort of like
Trigger warning.
or content warning at the beginning.
We can add
content warning.
We can add it at the end. We can add it at the end.
Yeah, for real. But like, I think that like genuinely the idea of a self-induced consequences.
Yeah.
And when it comes to productivity.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, do you, in ADHD coaching, I think that I imagine, like I have only experienced like on the customer facing end of ADHD coaching, and knowing how much guilt I bring, and, you know, try to you know, talk out so that I can deconstruct like that self-blame. Is that like, I'm assuming that that's a common thread. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
I mean, shame is basically the biggest part of ADHD. It's like what ties, no matter which symptoms you have, the shame and the guilt is going to be bigger than the symptoms. Like, no question. Like, our entire lives, I mean, the stat is definitely overused, but I resonate with so much. You probably don't know what stat's going to come, but like you hear 20,000 more negative messages by the time that you're 10 or 12 years old as an ADHDer, and we all probably resonate with that so much. We have covered a lot of ground, from death to
the look, the death stare over there.
Childhood. If you were to leave, let's leave one short thing with the audience about productivity that you would want them to take away from this conversation each.
Literally bring it full circle, that productivity isn't about doing more and trying to get more done. It's about being the perfect combination of effective and efficient. So trying to get the best outcome in the least possible time. Like, not focusing on kind of more, and instead focusing on what can I do to remove, like what can I remove from this in order to get a better result.
Yeah, I think mine's pretty connected. I think all of that plus
Yes.
different ways that you can say yes and. I think you're trying to make the distinction that the outcome and the productivity of the how is different, but I do think that the best thing that you can do for your productivity is to have a better sense of the outcome and like what you're actually driving towards, and then everything else with the productivity will become way more harder. What easier? Everything will become way easier.
You want to start again?
Oh, okay. I'm actually going to start again on that point.
So we're talking about productivity.
I know.
What are we talking about?
So yes, and to everything that you just said, I will add that on top of that, there is also the result is like defining the result for yourself. And that looks different for every single person, is going to make the productivity piece so much easier, because you'll want to do it. You know that it's going to give a good outcome to your life, and it'll just like all the interest based, you can put in the novelty, all the ADHD motivators that you want, but it'll make the productivity part so much easier if you have a result that you genuinely want to go for, and you know. I think knowing it is step one. That's what I would leave.
I would leave it on a, have you seen this wonderful book, The Anti-Planner, How to Get Shit Done When You Don't Feel Like? I'm just kidding. No.
No, I have respect. As an entrepreneur, I have respect.
For real. I was gonna say the main thing that I want to take away, which I mean is related, which is one of the biggest things that I could like leave people with would be to stop expecting consistency from yourself if the only like consistent thing in your life is that you're inconsistent. Instead of expecting yourself to be able to train or trick yourself into being a different person, lean into who you already are and don't see yourself as like a flawed thing to be fixed, instead of realizing that all you need is something different. So like for me, what that means is to not expect something to work forever. And we were talking about so with the anti-planner, it was like, I use Kanban boards all the time for projects. If I was upset every time I stopped using my Kanban board, I would be upset all the time. And that is how I used to live. Except now what I realize is like, as soon as something stops serving me and I drop it without judgment.
Yeah.
And I find the next thing that works. And I consider it experimenting instead of being so focused on just the outcome, focusing on feeling good at myself feeling proud of continuing to like,
Love feeling good at myself.
feeling proud.
Oh no.
Feeling instead of getting just like outcomes are great, but like if you are consistently not getting the outcomes that you want, instead of like spiraling into self-hatred, trying to kind of step back and consider experimenting and trying things. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. That's just information to be helpful, about what not to try.
Yeah,
Right. And
100.
so I think that mainly keeping in mind that like you're not a failure if something stops working, give yourself credit for continuing to get back up.
Yeah, love
I
that.
absolutely love that.
That's way better than what I said. Listen to Danny.
Absolutely is.
That's the takeaway from this episode.
By the
Listen
anti-planner,
to
listen to Danny.
And at that, consider these thoughts finished.
Fucking finally, bro. Thought I'd like to finish.